with Middle East, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has expressed skepticism regarding any potential U.S. Iran deal, insisting that any agreement must go beyond halting Iran's enrichment process and include the dismantling of Iran's nuclear infrastructure. He has emphasized that enriched material must leave Iran and the equipment enabling enrichment must be dismantled. Meanwhile, Netanyahu has discussed Israel's ongoing efforts to complete the destruction of Gaza's tunnels, with 150 kilometers already dismantled. Furthermore, Netanyahu proposed that U.S. military and Israel be phased out over the next decade, transitioning from financial assistance to partnership with the goal of reducing the current $3.8 billion annual aid by 2038.
I will not hide from you that I expressed my skepticism of any deal with Iran because, frankly, Iran is reliable on one thing. They lie and they cheat. But I said that if a deal is to be reached, it should have several components. Several components that we believe are important not only for the security of Israel, but for the security of the world. There shall be no enrichment capability, not stopping the enrichment process, but dismantle the equipment and the infrastructure that allows you to enrich in the first place. We dismantled about 150 kilometers of 500 kilometers of tunnels. We have to complete the job. That means also that you can't hide weapons labs or other facilities that they use to rearm themselves, regroup, and reform, which they're trying to do. We're giving the president's plan a chance. So we can afford to phase out the financial component of the military aid that we're receiving. And I propose a 10-year drawdown to zero. Now, in the 3 years that remain in the present memorandum of understanding, in another 7 years, draw down to zero. Israel will support itself and does, just as we fight for ourselves. At the same time, we want to move with the United States from aid to partnership.
Now we welcome Ms. Shruti Dasgupta. She's an international affairs expert, joins us live from New Delhi. Thank you very much, Ms. Dasgupta, for joining us again. Good to see you. Now, as we know, Iran is enriching uranium, but we also know that of the reports coming in from Israel about Israel's enrichment, which we do not know much about. So how do you think that is motivating, or what is Israel's role in Iran pursuing nuclear enrichment? What is Iran's motive when it comes to countering Israel?
Good morning, Asuma. Israel is nuclear armed, we know that. What is the value of the number of nuclear weapons it holds? We do not know any of those numbers. We can only presume to be somewhere close to about 90 to 100 nuclear weapons. But it has special circumstances. Since its very inception, it has faced an extreme pushback since 1948. Imagine having a legacy of 75 odd years of just fighting your way just to survive. And in the land from which you originally migrated from. So no matter which historian takes back whatever, it is at least until 2000 BCE, we know that there were people of the legacy of Judaism or in the Middle East. So when they go back to that land, no matter how it was reclaimed, claimed, the colonial policies, imperial policies were never fair to the people of the land. It wasn't fair to the locals and the tribals there, but it's not something that you can continue to resist against in the form that Israel has faced. So that question, so Israel having nuclear weapons is a form of self-defense for them, because it deters a whole lot of Arabic nations from actually going all out against them, and it's only having to deal with non-state actors. Iran is the only nation that actually actively repels the existence of Israel, not just verbally but militarily also, and has done so for many decades now. Now, beyond that, Iran's nuclear program is stalled, if I might say so. With the B-2 bombing, the facilities in Nantes and all the other places were damaged, if not destroyed. and the damage would have been significant enough. But I do know that there was activity reported of repairs happening there. So those equipments are very sensitive, and if there was a repair happening to the structure of the region of that plant, that means that equipment is probably not functional as of now. So the conversation on nuclear related to Iran is about the material that they've already enriched, which IAEA has no eyes on and is unable to track. Beyond that, I know that the Iranian state actors, officials and ministers are talking about trying to use their nuclear position to trade off for better economic fallouts. They want to partner with USA, like many other Middle Eastern nations, in terms of energy. Now, this is where we've been talking about the Iran problem is that USA, although the petrodollar deal is off, wants to control how the crude oil is bought and sold in the world, and Iran is probably willing to give them that now in exchange for being able to keep its nuclear facilities alive, because the consortium of power is not probably something which is which they had hoped for is not going to come to fruition. So that is not happening. So they want to continue doing their nuclear thing, want to promise that they would stay away from highly enriched uranium, but these promises were made earlier also in 2015 under JCPOA, but those promises were breached. And so there is a trust deficit between USA, the other world powers, Israel and Iran. Now, what they're hoping is to pull off trade deals, oil deals, and defense deals, because the floundering US economy and its multi-trillion-dollar debt is something that can be used to hook US power to their interests, and Iran is trying to do exactly that with the deals right now. So Israel, as you've heard from President Netanyahu's words, that they would want to decouple from a US military, because they realize that the days where unconditional support was offered to them are probably not going to stay for long. That is reflected in the way the policies, politics, as well as people of USA have reacted to Israel and its attempts to curb Hamas in Gaza. The reports that are coming out now through various media sources have shown that how there was bias in reporting, incorrect reporting, probably influenced reporting from many places, and so that has shifted the world view towards a very pro-Hamas state, which was never acceptable, should have never been acceptable. So they've found themselves to be all alone in their war for existence, and so they've decided that instead of being on aid, which was mostly spent on buying US military equipment, they want to take the next 3 years of the deal that was there and add 7 more and try and go to a zero dependence on America. They're not calling it a zero dependence as such. They're calling it that moving towards a partnership, which means that they do not want to anger the current US politicians. They just want to showcase it that, okay, we want to be more dependent on ourselves, we're more self-dependent. What India calls as Atmanirbhar is what they're trying to project in the name of decoupling from US military sources, which they have found to be reluctant to their cause just for popularity within their own borders. So this is a bigger problem that they are facing, Israel, and Iran is trying their very best to hook into what is available, what are the soft corners of USA.
Thank you very much, Ms. Dasgupta, for sharing that. Please stay with us as we stay on this news. Now, Iranian Foreign Minister Sayyid Abbas Araghchi is headed to Geneva